welcome to the show! I am Wolfie, your host for today, and we're going to be playing some more Nier Automata today. And I am bollocks, honestly. I am very tired. I haven't had the greatest amount of sleep in general. I've just not been able to sleep much at all this weekend. So I'm currently running very loopy and incredibly tired, and I've still got raid to do after this. So this is gonna be weird today. Today's stream is gonna be weird. I'm not gonna do anything too crazy. Need to get done because this is my first week of actually them going, yeah, we can get you to raid now. So I will damn well do it, even if it like knocks me unconscious. Yesterday broke my brain. I'll get into it in the show. But hey, how y'all doing? Yeah, the only thing I can think of at the moment is tired. So that's my current emotional state. Let's get into the game. Yeah, you're gonna be getting I don't know, about 20-30% Wolfie at most today. Oh my god. I feel so tired. If it wasn't the fact I've got so much to do today, I would just be going, no, I need to call it. But I've got a lot of shit I need to do. And it's too late to back out now. Right. So one of the main reasons for my exceedingly immeasurable tiredness.
Report. Mail notification received from access point.
Really seriously like 10 steps away from getting more mail? What happened? I've been stopping by fishing all for a while. Ate what I could get my hands to survive. Yeah. Huge catch into the deepest depths. Biggest egg of the subterranean lake near where I live. Okay. That could be interesting. But yeah, currently, I'm really tired. So we'll see how this goes. I may have to call this early and things, but hell, we're damn well gonna try this. Yeah, so currently the main cause of tiredness today is yesterday. Now, what happened yesterday? We have had a fairly one of the big ones. We finished. I've forgotten how to run. There you go. Okay, it's dodge. Yeah, I'm that tired. Okay, guys. I've forgotten like basic mechanics. So yeah, what happened? Yesterday we finished our Star Wars campaign in weird fashion, but before that, I needed to tell you what happened before that. So we played Magic yesterday again, and the sets we got were M19, one of my favourite sets of all time. Hey, how you doing? Good evening to you too. I'm very sleepy today, so I hope you're having a fantastic evening. Because I'm having a weird one. Yeah, so we finished our Star Wars campaign. Well, first we played Magic, so we played, we had M19 was one of our sets, which I loved. We also had 8th edition, which I never played with, and it was quite interesting. Some really old, really fun little cards. And Portal to 3 Kingdoms, which had a lot of really weird things in it. So the first game went pretty normally. We had 4 of us playing. It was a bit of a back and forth. I ended up getting like essentially focused down by one player for no reason, and essentially they killed themselves at killing me, which was interesting. I did go out first, so I get to pick first in our next, because we always have one like big match and then we have a fun little piss around time after that. Like our official like tournament today is the least serious tournament I think I've ever been in. It's kind of fun. Charming Brit, thank you for the follow there, buddy. It is greatly appreciated. So yeah, our least serious competition ever happened, and we got it was quite a normal match. Then our second match happened. Our second match, I was actually able to get like cards that I was able to play. It actually was going very well for me. And we ended up having this really weird thing happen where one of the players had played a card, which means that everyone plays with their hand open, first of all. Then they had another card out on the board, which meant that every time anybody drew a card, everybody got to potentially veto it. They got to pay 2 life and veto it. Everybody got an option. It went around the table. And then we all had an artifact, which made me draw multiple cards a turn, called Howling Mine. This ended up being like the most just meme and spite-filled game of Magic, where I ended up dealing like most of my own life, essentially just saying that people aren't allowed to play mind control cards. I dealt about 19 damage to myself, just going, nope, you're not allowed that card, nope, you're not allowed that card, and just sticking to my morals, okay? It's a fun game, I definitely recommend giving it a try. Magic is a ton of fun, with the right people. I learned when I was in college. They basically just threw the green cards at me because nobody at college played green and I showed interest in playing green. The only... Shadow. I think I know the shadow mechanic. They're very old mechanics, I definitely say that. I think the shadow... They're definitely not in standard at the moment. Maybe find people who are willing to play older stuff and like not do like crazy serious stuff. They can be. Also, Magic Arena is always worth a try. Magic the Gathering Arena is pretty fun. So I do recommend that. I started playing it again recently. I might play that tomorrow. I don't know. Oh yeah, before that as well, by the way, I managed to actually beat the main story of Hades. I say beat main story of Hades. Get through the first like bunch of wins, so that like all the major the main event happened in Hades. I'll put it that way. If you've played enough games of Hades, you know what happened. Jesus, that's strong. We have a similar mechanic actually in yesterday, because one of the Portal 3 Kingdom mechanics, which actually ended up being the deciding mechanic, in the major game was horsemanship, which basically works the same way. But it can't be blocked except by things with horsemanship. Yeah. It was an interesting game. So that happened, and essentially the second game ended up taking nearly 3 hours of us just going, what the fuck is happening, before I managed to finally just beat people down enough with my giant dragons. Because we played M19, and I loved M19 because it was a dragon set, so I got to play giant monsters. Even more than usual. I always play giant monsters, but M19 had some of my favourite giant monsters. And then we played Star Wars, and the Star Wars campaign, we had our campaign finale, which was entertaining. It was really well done. I'm quite happy with it. Basically what ended up happening was we finally managed to get onto the Mandalorian invasion flagship. By dint of having essentially a droid-piloted tractor tire, like it was basically a vacuum seal, a proper air-locked-in jet engine being piloted by a crazy droid that's been jury-rigged into it. And this is what we flew into the Mandalorian flagship in the middle of a pitched battle. And so we got into the ship, like our medical droid did a bunch of hacks. Yeah. Oh, don't worry, that was the normal bit. So we got, so the little jet engine thing we had took off, started flying. We were doing some checks to like bump each other, and one of the bumps gave us some negatives, which the GM gets to decide. And what ended up happening? The GM decided the negative was that our little pod thing collided with a fighter, because there was a battle outside, so it collided with a fighter ship, and essentially just carried the fighter ship with it because our ship won, and it killed whoever was piloting the little fighter in the crash. And that essentially ended up getting us access to the Mandalorian ships. Security system, basically, because we had a ship attached to it. So they didn't shoot us because they thought we were a fire. It gets better. Yeah, pretty much. We used a crash fighter into our ship. It was just wedged on our ship to get access to this big ship, because basically it scanned us and it went, oh, it's a fighter. Because apparently we didn't tell the droid that he had to try to do something stealthily, so essentially he just asked for access codes and got them. So that happened. We then got into the ship, basically got our medical droid to hack into their system, so we get like a blueprint and know all the things. End up figuring out that where we needed to go was 3 different directions, because the places we wanted to go were the hyperdrive reactor, so we could set up this doomsday device in case everything went horribly wrong. Which is like 300 floors down. We wanted to get to the command bridge, so that our Mandalorian character could challenge the head of the Mandalorians to single combat, to hopefully call off this war. And we needed to get to the shield generators, which there were 3 of. And they were all in like different places, but they're all fairly similar spots at the front of the ship. So we need to get to 3 places, and we went, okay, we're going to split into 2 parties. We're first going to we're going to go as the whole party down to the hyperspace thing. Hyperdrive, that's what it's called. Then we're going to split into 2 teams. And we're going to go to our individual things that we needed to do. Sorry that this is not descriptive particularly, but as I said, I am running on about 10 minutes sleep because my brain broke after this yesterday. Bear in mind, I had 5 minutes break between that Magic game and this game. It ended interestingly. I'll get into it. Okay, so we managed to get to the hyperdrive. We basically bluffed. We scanned it, found out that there was basically a bedroom just above the hyperdrive. So we went into the bedroom. It was occupied. It had like a maintenance team essentially, with one Mandalorian soldier like being the overseer of them, and they were on break. So a Mandalorian walked in. Bearing in mind, previously in the campaign, our Mandalorian we'd killed a Mandalorian ship captain, and basically just nicked his helmet and gave it to our Mandalorian because it was better than his. So he still had, like, the officer's markings. So he walked into this thing as essentially a captain. And the Mandalorian soldier just went, "Hey, sir, what do you need?" And ended up essentially being convinced to basically he's like, "We need the maintenance team here, there's some problem going on." Something like that. Rolled pretty well on the check. They all walked out. We then all went into the little place, and our 2 lightsaber wielding characters cut a hole in the floor with their lightsabers to get into the hyperdrive. I should be getting life from other things. Give me a second. Should be in it. Okay, it is equipped. Oh, they're the good guys. I don't think we ever specified one of them, actually. One of them had a yellow lightsaber because they really liked the yellow lightsabers, essentially. Like they were a character that was a former Padawan. So. And the other one was actually like a Jedi Master, because their previous character had just died like a couple of sessions beforehand, and we were really late into the campaign, so they could come in with a shit ton of XP. Like my character had died a while back in it, so I came back as a new character who had a lot of XP. But this one had just died, and we were like 2 sessions from the end. So they had a lot of XP, so they ended up playing a Jedi Master character. So we then cut our way through, and we found out that there were 2 people on the top layer that we needed to get past in the hyperdrive. Two just little maintenance moves. So my character, the party's gunslinging Kyozu bounty hunter, that's kind of cool, actually. I like that. With our ruling, we were doing the old. It's like tied to your primary emotion. So my old character, which was a Force user, he was definitely not a Jedi. Had a blue lightsaber. He was very protective, so that ended up being like he had a very like flaming like gaslight blue lightsaber. Yeah, we did it the old style. which we all pretty much agree on. Yeah, Koto style, exactly. So, yeah, we all went, like, oh yeah, my old character had a blue lightsaber, this character had this colour, etc. One of our characters actually has purified their the lightsaber crystals they got. This is the character that died previously. That turned into the Jedi. That the big player got a Jedi Master. They purified the crystals off of a Sith Lord that we'd killed. Mid-combat, by the way. They had white, correct. In a really epic moment where my character, like, disarmed the Sith Lord, essentially. It flew over to the other person and they purified it in front of them, which was very funny. That's how you piss off a Sith Lord, by the way. Yeah, so we did that. My character, the gunslinging bounty hunter, with one of the most dangerous pistols known to man. It was a great campaign. It took about a year. It was about a year in when we finished last night. It was a very, very fun, really weird campaign. And honestly, a lot of it is actually documented fairly well on my streams. I natter about it because it was our Sunday game, and I always stream this on Sundays. So a lot of them are actually on my YouTube. Is me nattering on my Nier streams about this Star Wars game. And what ended up happening then was my character jumped down and decided not to use his disruptor pistol. And we said, I'm going to knock out these two guys, because I don't know how many more people there are. Knocking them out with the stun pistols is quiet and killing them. Shut up. And so he jumped down. Did well on his coordination check, but didn't do quite well enough because it was like going to a grating, so I needed a very good roll. I got a good roll, but it wasn't quite high enough to not make a bit of noise. So the two people turned around. My character, Gunslinger, has a shit ton of abilities and is basically one-hit killing nearly everything. Two pistols out, one headshot each, bam! Both of them unconscious. The guys below were, like, hey, is everything okay up there? And another party member, our very talky, very intimidating tiny moth person. Very intimidating, they're our talky character, but they've got most of their ranks in coercion, which is the intimidation skill, basically. So they can just, like, convince people that to just be scared. But they've got a lot of just other good talky bits as well. I basically went, no, it's all fine, don't worry about it. And made the check, essentially. So they went, ah, sure. They just went, drop me clipboard, it's fine, don't worry about it. And they believed her. So then we had to deal with everyone else in the room. So we gently lowered the rest of the party. We were using the Star Wars FFG game. It was like we'd edited a few of the rules because a few of the rules just don't make sense or are really broken. And we were using all Force and Destiny, Edge of the Empire, and Age of Rebellion because we all wanted to try various things from each of it, so we mix-mashed it, and we all can figure out why a lot of it isn't used together. You can use it together, but the rules get a little weird. Hence why my backup character wasn't a Force user, because Force users were just bizarre in that game. So we basically went, okay, so there's a Mandalorian soldier in like the control room with reinforced glass, the works, big like control room over there. We can just about see it. There's something in there. Oh, okay. That was the secret. I probably was, to be honest. I haven't played these kind of things for years. So there's a good chance I just wasn't playing as much. I guessed by that statement. I assumed. How you doing? Long time no see or speak. I think there's only one person who I still regularly talk to. Oh, I say regularly, fairly regularly talk to from secondary school. Because we both go to the same bar. Darksiders a lot. Okay. I don't remember a lot about Darksiders. That's really going back. Not gonna lie, you've got me there. Apologies. I am terrible at remembering names as well. Especially since I'm tired at the moment as well. So apologies. Oh, that is gonna bug me now. Okay. Were you one of the people who used to hang out at the benches, by any chance? That'll be it. Apologies that I can't remember exactly who you are, but I know one of at least the few people that you are. I know you're not one of the two people I still, because there's actually another person from the benches I still talk to occasionally. How you doing? Ish! I was like, how am I remembering? Yeah, I still talk to Mo and her big sister. Yes, I do remember you, actually. Yeah, I'm in, dude. Oh yeah, I remember you, the teenager with the beard. Jesus, I'm tired. Okay. Where was I in my story again, by the way? I forgot completely. Life generally treat me pretty well. I get to do this like 4 times a week. So all in all, doing pretty good. And I'm much better at cooking now. Oh yes, that was it. So yeah, we found the Mandalorian. There was a Mandalorian leader over in this little bunker section, and then we had like all the other little generic mook engineer guys down below. Nice, Lop's awesome. Viking reenactment. I've never done Viking reenactment. But I know a lot of people who do that, and they do say it is very fun. Oh, I missed that jump. Yeah. So basically, what ended up happening after that was me and our Mandalorian character decided to sneak around. Because it's like, oh, everything's expensive for both. I get you there, dude. I get that feeling. I have some chainmail that cost about the same. I then had to edit it because it was like we ordered it and it came like we ordered it as a medium, but they didn't send us a medium. They sent us a double XL. So I had to edit it with a pair of pliers, which took a pair of pliers, like a hammer and things. Yeah, mine isn't riveted. Mine's proper ring mail. Yeah, that took a lot of effort and a lot of time, but it did work, and it is much nicer now. Yes. So we did that. We snuck around. We couldn't quite get in. I couldn't quite get into the room, but obviously our Mandalorian looks like a Mandalorian captain at this point. So essentially managed to like just knock on the door, because once again, me and the other Mandalorian character, were stuck by the simplest of things, which has stopped us so far multiple times in the campaign: a locked door with a code pad. Because we are not smart characters. We are the murdery characters in the party, so we were stopped. So basically, the Mandalorian just knocked on the door. The soldier opened it. They had a conversation. He was like, made some stuff up about there maybe being traitors on board, so it's a reason for him to go in, like oversee for a bit. Yeah, pretty much. Well, we wanted to get in without alerting the entire ship of our presence, so I could have just shot the door off, but that would have been kind of obvious. And yeah. So we got into the room. And they did some like conversation in the room as they closed the door. I was stuck on the outside of the door with it locked again. Mandalorian managed to do it, and the guard essentially like saluted and then had his back to the door. So Mandalorian obviously just went and opened the door for me, and I walked in. We then proceeded to basically put our Mandalorian has a sniper rifle, a laser sniper rifle. My character has a disintegration pistol and another extremely high-powered pistol. So we end up just walking into the room behind him and annihilating him, essentially. We dealt about 70 damage with 3 shots, most of which was just me. Did a lot of damage. He was very dead. And as we did that, the 2 lightsaber-wielding characters jumped down into all the engineers and killed them all. And we then proceeded to like seal off the engineering bay without alerting any guards, I want to point out, because we did it very quickly, quietly, and efficiently. We rigged it all up, got our device in place that was basically the doomsday device that would, if activated, destroy the entire fleet. So it was our last resort. We hacked the vent system so that all the heat from the engines was going through all the maintenance shafts, so it was completely sealed off the room apart from the one entrance we had made. And we set it up, and we had a random NPC with us, some just guy, like some random street urchin we picked up and saved early on that we kept forgetting was there, but essentially would just end up being with us the whole time. And we just left them in the room with orders, and with like orders to blow it up if everything went wrong, and a frag grenade. And a dream, essentially that's what we left him with. And then the party split into the two teams. Team go with our Mandalorian character to the bridge, and team go and destroy the shield generators. So I'll go to team destroy the shield generators first. So, the team destroy the shield generators was my character, the gunslinging bounty hunter, our medical droid called Doc, who had a German accent and just has like crazy high intelligence. That's like their whole shtick. They have like no other stats at all to speak of, but insanely high intelligence. Yeah, pretty much. But it was like, it was press these exact buttons that we're going to tell you to, and then haul ass to the escape pods because it's going to destroy everything with like a 10-mile radius. Basically it opened a rift into hyperspace and summoned all the monsters out of hyperspace to kill everything. So tearing a hole in the fabric of reality, guys. And the other character was the Jedi Master. So we did our sneaking check. My character, very high agility, no sneaking skill. Basically, in this game, like you get your stat, and then if you've got any skill points, it upgrades the dice, so you get better dice to roll. My character rolled incredibly well on the succeeding the stealth check, but very badly on the getting extra benefits, because I rolled like 8 successes, 4 disadvantage. And the 4 disadvantage ended up being, we got there hunky-dory, all fine, nobody saw us. Unfortunately, the shield generator is on the other side of a boarding barracks full of soldiers in the middle of battle. And this is where it went weird. So, we had a good couple minutes as the other characters were role-playing around, where one moment, I've just got a message, something. Okay. It's nothing important. Yeah, so that was how this started. So what we ended up coming up with, after a 10-minute little break for us of going, okay, so what have we got? The Jedi Master, of all people, suggested the plan of, well, there's a bunch of soldiers, and it's a barracks connected to boarding torpedoes. So let's just explosively decompress. Just basically open all the airlocks and kill everybody inside. Which we went, I like that plan actually. It's gonna be hard to do though. But we have our medical droid character with us who can breathe in a vacuum. Yeah, it was a Jedi Master quotation marks, yeah, pretty much. And what ended up happening then? So our medical droid, essentially, we realised that would have to sneak through a room full of Mandalorian soldiers on alert, and our medical droid has a deception skill so low that because my character has an ability which means I add extra failures to people trying to lie to me, he automatically fails lying to me. They can't physically roll well enough to lie to me because they have 1 die and they can max roll 2 successes, and I give them automatically 3 failures. Just by existing. So we went, this is a problem. They're not going to be able to get through. And I went, well, they don't have to try, do they? Because there's an ability our Jedi Master has, which they forgot they had, called There Is No Try, which is once per session, person automatically succeeds 1 check with 1 success spare. So we used it, and our droid, our basically German medical droid, decided to whoop-a-doop-a-doo, just had a nice charming stroll over to the hacking console. Nobody paid them any mind. They hacked the terminal and explosively decompressed the barracks. Oh, no, actually, I forgot about this. Here's the one extra bit. We realised the other problem. Our medical droid, the only other stat they have anything in is brawn. So they can hold on. But unfortunately, they've got nothing to hold on to when they're getting vented into space. So I suggested, you didn't happen to bring a leg with you, did you? Because my previous character who had died had one of his limbs cut off at one point during the campaign, and we replaced it with a mechanical leg that we rolled well enough to get an integrated tool, and my character picked basically a magnetic clamp. That was like impact activated mag clamp, because my character was a big bruiser character, so he wanted something like to sturdy himself so he couldn't get knocked over and things. Yeah. My character got injured a lot. He was the tank of the party, so he ended up getting a lot of critical injuries on him. Ended up dying to a anti-vehicle grenade to the chest, which he almost survived. And so yeah, my character had previously died in a campaign, and we've removed the limb in it was like a big thing. It was very close, actually. If he hadn't been hit by another attack earlier on in the session, he would have survived it. Bearing in mind, this is an anti-tank grenade that my humanoid nearly lived through. That's how tough he was. And if the roll had been slightly worse on the GM, because the GM rolled very well for it as well. Yeah. Yeah, it was a thermal detonator, which they used to blow up like starships and things. My character nearly survived one of those point blank, saving another character's life. But I digress. Yeah, so we had the limb, and our Jedi Master was like, why would we bring the limb along? And the Jedi Master went, oh, you mean this limb? Paid a destiny point because they've got a thing where they can see into the future. And it's like, oh yeah, I foresaw we would need this. And just handed him over my old character's leg. That's not even the best bit yet. So, there is no try to get the medical droid through it all undetected. They then passed the check to explosively decompress the barracks and just clamped the clamp to the floor. And even with all the bonuses, the leg gave a lot of extra bonuses to help it. They used one of their abilities, which let them reroll, because they failed it. And they barely held on by being, essentially, they rerolled it and barely succeeded. They failed the first one, got a second roll off, barely passed. And got basically wedged in the ceiling, but one Mandalorian, but also all the Mandalorians, all the droids in the room, everything got vented out bar 3 people. 2 of them were Mandalorians that didn't have vacuum sealed helmets, so they were just choking to death in the room. The third one was a Mandalorian officer who had a vacuum sealed helmet, so was just marginally surprised. He then jumped up and dove over for a gun in mid of space. This caused our medical droid to panic and explosively decompress the next chamber along, which collided with the Mandalorian who was, and fired everything else into space. Unfortunately, the medical droid this time outright failed even with his reroll. And that was his last reroll of the session, by the way. So, our droid was now in space, essentially next to a giant shield generator that was active in the middle of a pitched battle between the Republic fleet and the Mandalorian fleet. Our droid then was still being targeted by the Mandalorians who had vacuum sealed helmets. And walked over and basically used his little thrusters to get a hold of one of the war droids. And basically use the war droid, like turn the war droid on, hack into it so it would do its own thing, but obey the commands that the medical droid would give it. And rode it over to the shield generator and just told it to start just ripping the shield generator apart. They passed the check, but then failed the check to get away in time, so an explosion went off, destroying the shield generator and almost killing our medical droid. Several more rolls later, where things were basically failing up because the droid was failing the roll, but getting like a crit success at the same time as failing. The droid technically it was our doctor droid, but it was a doctor in the way of reduced suffering in the universe. They literally just murdered someone earlier on in the campaign in cold blood, because they were a slaver. So they injected a lethal dose of medication into them when trying to save them because I'd cut their arm off. That's a story for another time, and it's probably in the previous video, so I recommend go watching that because I can't get into it right now. I guess, yeah. So they were basically failing forwards. They killed about 40 people at this point in the span of like a minute. And they'd taken most of their health off by destroying a shield generator. So our droid then started to get basically random rolls from the GM. The explosion knocked him really close, but then another bit of shrapnel hit the droid, reducing to the 0 hit points. However, the GM rolled how far they were from the, basically the entrance to the ship again. Because he said, all you have to do is get inside the airlock and then turn it off. That's all you need. It turns out they rolled out of a D10, 10 being really far away, 1 being really close. They rolled a 1, and were basically point blank. And of all the things that happened next, was our droid, who was unconscious, drifted, and got caught on the limb of my dead character with its mag clamp, caught our droid, who was unconscious at this point, and just like snagged at them essentially, and they just got caught on it, which means that they were inside the ship unconscious, attached to a leg, was the only thing keeping them in the ship. Yeah, that happened. And so, my character, the Jedi Master, who was outside, who basically heard all this, was like, massive explosion, decompressed air, like, warning locks come down. We basically waited a couple minutes until everything mostly died down. Pressed the button to seal off the room again, waited a couple minutes and went back in. To find that our droid was unconscious, had like a 3-foot bit of shrapnel in him. It was unbelievable. Because the GM didn't originally think that they had knocked out the droid, but they'd already said it, so they went, fuck it, you can play it. They thought they had like 1 hit point left, but they didn't. So it was that, and basically, so we charged into the room. I quickly patched up our droid, barely enough to get them functional again. I got 1 success on my mechanics check, so they were barely functional. And they woke up, the droid woke up basically realising this leg with a pneumatic clamp their droid had made, by the way. They had crafted this clamp. And my previous character was the party's protector. The character that had the achievement goal that got him extra XP for actively protecting and saving the party members. And the droid's reaction just to seeing that this limb of his dead friend was the thing that had saved him just went, looking out for me even in death, hey buddy? And I was just like, fuck yes! And we all now then determined in the canon that my character, because he was force sensitive, in his death, had basically, the Force Ghosts were a thing, but he wasn't that powerful as a Force Ghost. He had possessed his own severed leg. It was a great moment. And it's his last, even while dead, he will still defend the party. It was a fucking fantastic moment. So yeah, remember that happened. We killed a shit ton of people with explosive decompression. Then we cut to the other half of the party. The other half of the party, at this point, had basically walked to some Mandalorians, and a Mandalorian basically said this: I am Zul, son of Mandalore. Mandalore being the head of the Mandalorians. I challenge him to single combat for the right to lead, basically. So it turns out that our Mandalorian buddy who's been there the entire campaign, who was just some random schmuck bounty hunter with, like, debts as far as we were concerned, who then became force sensitive partway through the campaign. After my character died, actually. It was a really sweet moment. Because we got on really well. Like, my character got on well with a lot of the party members, but he was like a soldier, so got on quite well with the bounty hunter characters. So it turns out that our bounty hunter, Mandalorian bounty hunter buddy, was essentially the adopted son of the ruler of the Mandalorians, who are the bad guys. And had the right to challenge him to single combat. So then they did this. After an insane amount of rolls. By the way, our Mandalorian... Yeah, we were all like, wait, what the fuck? Everyone who was there did this. There was like lots of talk, back and forth talking. Like, they got all the way up to the bridge and like properly challenged with the 2 like ceremonial battle axes that the Mandalorians have to do the fight to the death with. Or at least fight to yielding, but we all knew this was going to be a fight to the death one way or the other. Our Mandalorian, by the way, terrible at melee combat. Really good at shooting, not good at melee. They've recently basically realised they were going to have to do a melee combat, so just started stacking all the melee upgrades they could with their previous XP. And doing this, we had our vocal character and our like Jedi buffing him up secretly. And oh god damn. And at that point, they started the duel with the axes. Our Mandalorian throwing every trick in the book they had. They weren't like a very big or brawny character, but they'd been buffed up to high hell by all our abilities, so they could hold their own in close quarters. And we're using like all their defense ability. They had like dodge, they had a force power that made them really hard to hit. They made a lot of things like that. We're basically going, I'm not going to hit him particularly hard each time. We're going to hit him hard enough and hopefully just crit him down eventually. While I hopefully just don't die. And they were adding red dice. Red dice are important because red dice have a thing called despairs on them. Despairs have a really can give some really nasty effects. And our GM was ruling that every time that the Mandalorian leader rolled a despair, they were basically losing, critical injuries. If you deal damage and get enough advantages or a triumph, you can crit. And crits can just kill people. If you get 150 with modifiers on a critical on a D100, they're just dead. So that's the way to kill people in melee, because melee fights are brutal, and melee weapons crit very easily. So crit is the way to go in close quarters. And these two were battering at each other. But the Mandalorian was rolling really poorly. They were getting lots of hits and lots of crits. But also they were rolling despairs. And the GM just went, for the first one, it's like, I'll take some durability away from his axe. You know, it might come up, you never know. 4 despairs on a weapon means it breaks. Eventually. Like each one lowers its durability by 1 stage. These weapons had 4 durability. So the first one happened. Did a lot of damage to our Mandalorian, but he was still barely holding on. Did a good hit. Our Mandalorian did a good hit back. Just was back and forth for a good couple rounds. Our Mandalorian got a solid hit on the enemy. Our Mandalorian got a solid hit on the enemy and blinded him. Which you went, like father, like son, because a running joke in the campaign is that every single time our Mandalorian got crit, it would blind him. Immediately. It would always roll blindness. On this huge chart with a ton of options, it always rolled blindness for him. So that happened. They swung and blinded the other the Mandalorian leader, who then swung back in the same turn and proceeded to blind our Mandalorian. Same turn, father and son both blinded each other, like it had been happening the entire campaign so far. Not proper blindness, like they basically knocked out each other's like visions thing on their helmets. So neither one could see. And then the next roll happened. Their Mandalorian leader, our Mandalorian, was at 9 health. Their Mandalorian leader had their weapon was rolling like 15-ish damage a hit. And critting. So our character was on a lot of critical wounds at this point. And they'd pretty much exhausted all the things, so they knew next big hit is dead. They then rolled. Got 2 despairs, their weapon shattered. So didn't do any damage. Our Mandalorian swung his axe down at him. And the other guy, used a special ability, one of the signature abilities, like spent a bunch of points to do it, to basically put his hand up and block the hit with the axe with his hand. Took a swing at him, I think he missed, so he didn't do enough damage to do much. Then our Mandalorian actually got the hit and killed him. And there was a big emotional moment of like, just like, lead us well, and things like that. So, it was a major moment, like, very impressive. So that happened. It was a huge moment, and our Mandalorian character took off his helmet, put on the Mask of Mandalore, which did basically the crown that rules Mandalorians. Did a huge broadcast to everybody in both fleets saying, I am the new Mandalore. Mandalorians everyone stand down. Mandalorians fall back, we're done here, we don't need to, we have been manipulated into this war, etc, etc. On all channels. Right, so the war was over, we'd saved the day. And then the other part, then we all realised that all of Doc, the medical droid's amazing heroics meant literally nothing, and he'd basically murdered about 40 people for literally no reason, because about 10 minutes after we did that, we ended the war and they were all our allies now. So we basically just killed a lot of people for no reason. And it's some really awesome, almost death-defying moments for essentially no purpose. Yeah, that's pretty much what we all went. We also had a random mook with a doomsday device in the engine bay, basically. Which we had to go tell. So yeah, oh yeah, also on the way out of the engine bay, those two people that I knocked out, my character, not very much a loose ends kind of guy. He wants to be the most famous bounty hunter in the universe. Just killed the two guys. Who he knocked out previously with a disruptor pistol. So yeah, that all happened, and that was the campaign ending. And it was such a roller coaster of emotions where, like, everyone was one hit from dead, or nothing happened. Just, all this happened, and it was after a freaking game of Magic that took 3 hours. So my brain was broken by the end of the day, and I could barely talk. Which explains why I'm so tired today. And that was the end of our campaign. If you want to know more about the campaign, our Star Wars tabletop FFG campaign, it's documented in various episodes of my Nier series on my YouTube channel. There is a link below to my YouTube channel. All the Niers are up there. It's not up to me, sadly. It's up to our GMs. I do GM sometimes, but I'm not like a GM for this particular group. But it is great fun. Our GM is fantastic. He's a buddy of mine from LARP and just various video games and things that I know for years now. And he's fucking fantastic. He's the best GM I've ever had by a lot. Now, I've had some good GMs as well, but this one, it's a hats off moment to him. I always seem to die in campaigns as well. I die heroically, usually. Apart from in one way, which I think I died in a way that most people want to. In my first campaign I was in... It feels weird, honestly. We started playing it before quarantine started last year. But before all the COVID stuff happened was when we started. It feels just very strange that the campaign is over now. Because this was our Sundays for about a year. Yeah, pretty much. It's also weird because our other D&D campaign also just ended as well. We were having a Magic the Gathering Ravnica campaign. Hello, kid. Which also ended because two of the... Because we got, like, the main objective complete and two of the party members just, like, couldn't carry on anymore. They had something to do in the days. So I ended up calling that one as well. So I had two campaigns in the same week, and it feels really weird. So I went from an extremely busy schedule on weekends to a surprisingly free schedule on weekends. I will find something else to do, I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, I love the Ravnica game. Can you say in the Ravnica Magic the Gathering universe? The world of Ravnica in the Magic the Gathering universe. And we were playing characters from various guilds, making like this big, essentially, police force. And I loved my character in that campaign because his name was Gron. He was a member of the Gruul. The Gruul are the red-green. Which basically, in Ravnica, which is a entire planet, basically as a city, the Gruul are the people who live in the wilds, the parts of the city. So they are like the big barbarian, brutish, aggressive ones. And I was playing a Vashino. Now bear in mind, Vashinos normally are like 5'2", really scrawny, really nippy. My Vashino was a little different from most, because he was 8'6" and built like an ogre. And he was a barbarian. Because basically the part of his backstory was he'd basically been suffused with the green mana his entire life. Because Gruul's colours of magic are green and red. Green is all about strength and power and ferocity and nature and things like that. And growth. And basically my character from birth was basically just suffused with so much green mana that he just grew big. Essentially. And so it was just this massive lizard person. Who had, when he got angry, parts of his body shapeshifted to be like more bestial and ferocious. So I was using the new barbarian from the Tasha's Guide. This was 5e, by the way. The Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. And that was a fun one too. Because my character just didn't give a fuck. And it was awesome. Because as people say, I'm really bad at playing bad guys. I like playing heroic-y kind of characters. Usually, I like to play big stompy badasses usually. But they're usually like on the hero streak. Abyssal Tiefling. The best kind of Tiefling. Well, it's one of the two. One of the two best kinds of Tiefling. Abyss Tieflings are amazing, as are Zariel Tieflings. If I had to pick a Devil Tiefling, I would definitely pick Zariel. Zariel's the best. Love the Fallen Angel. When a fallen angel just goes that all the other angels are whiny bitches, I want to beat the shit out of demons all day, and just goes and joins the devils because they do a better job of it. That's the kind of character that I can approve of having as a devil lord. That's why Zariel is best. Elven Twilight. Well, that key it's all off. Yeah, apologies to anyone who's been interested in watching me play Nier today, by the way. Mostly today was just me doing something to just like relax my brain from all the just exhaustion and things. I will get on to more actual Nier stuff. Oh god. Yeah, that'd be better. I can get that. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, actual Nier stuff will probably continue more next week. I am just so fucking tired today, and I have something to do immediately after stream. Which I actually need to be a little early for, so I'm going to be calling fairly soon. So today is just me generally getting a bit of XP and farm materials. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I know Twilight Cleric's very good. Cleric is the only class. Is one of the it's one of the two classes that I have never played in D&D. The other one being Warlock, not for any particular reason. Just I've never particularly been like. There's always been something I wanted to play more than a Warlock. But Cleric's the class I've just never played. I've never really had an interest in playing it. It's fair. Clerics are good. Like, Clerics are crazy powerful. But my... Druid's good. Druid's my favourite caster. Although, saying that my favourite Druid is Moon Druid, which is the non-casty Druid, but still. I like Druid. My go-to is someone on the front line, usually. Level 20 Druid is broken. Level 20 Druid is the strongest class in the entire game, bar none. Level 20 Moon Druid is the strongest subclass in the entire game. Just unlimited wild shapes is insane, essentially. Yeah, my go-to classes. That's a fun one. Yeah, Dragonborn. I do like Dragonborn as well. I like Barbarians. My go-tos usually are either pretty much Barbarians, Fighters. In 5th edition Paladins, I've hated Paladins all through D&D until 5th edition, because in 5th edition you don't have to be religious. And I've never liked playing religious characters because I just don't understand it. So I've never been good at playing religious characters, so I play Paladins who are not at all Paladins, essentially. And Rangers. Those are my like go-tos. Close quarters Rangers. I love like ambidex Rangers with 2 longswords usually because I take the 2 weapon fighter feat. I don't usually pick deities, honestly. Because I play Paladin in 5th Ed, I basically do it as Paladins of Concepts. I played the Paladins that I've played most notably are Maud, a Paladin of Conquest, who's essentially a magical knight. More than anything else. He was an evil bastard who ended up being... Like, he was a chaotic, evil, fallen Aasimar conqueror paladin. And he ended up not being the worst person in the party because someone in the party, who was apparently neutral, was the most evil bastard I have ever seen. So my character went, that's a bit much. Because I just didn't want to get into an evil off with someone. Like, my character used brute force and, like, violence to get his way. But in the way that he thought, I can get use out of this later. So, like, he broke a kid's jaw because it's like, if I don't do this, they're gonna get killed, in which case I won't be able to get, like, which means if they are not killed, they'll owe me a favor later. And this neutral character burnt down the building this child was in. That was in a campaign once. Yeah. Now, I play Chaotic Evil well. Okay. It's the only evil I can sort of play is Chaotic Evil. Because it's the only evil... Because I'm not good at playing Lawful Evil because I can't play, like, Smart Evil, essentially. I play evil for the sake of, like, destruction, essentially. And, like, you have your own concepts that you want to go for evil. But I can't play, like, the really... like, strategic planning evil characters. I'm just not good at that. I play, like, the Russian kind of characters too much. Well, the Chaotic Evil ain't too bad. It's the only evil I can do. My preferred alignment is Chaotic Good. I love Chaotic Good. Okay, I'm gonna have to go now because I've got very soon before the raid I am scheduled to be in. it happens sometimes. Evil campaigns are weird, but you have to have the right kind of players to play them. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'd say Nier stream, but this was basically just me chatting stuff about. Yeah, it's nice chatting to you again, bud. It's a long time no see. Yeah, I'll be back on tomorrow with something. I don't know what. Maybe Hades, maybe Magic. I don't know. I'll be playing something when I'm more coherent and not exhausted. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Have a fantastic evening, everyone. If you keep playing the games, keep being awesome. You guys are the best ones to Twitch. Yeah, see you guys around. Don't forget to subscribe if you can, if you greatly appreciate it, but don't feel any pressure to whatsoever. See you guys. Have a fantastic time. Good night. Yeah, true that, man. See ya.